Hey, we are live, AZ100. Yo, it's your boy, Hollywood. My guest today, I got Leo Flowers, comedian, life coach, running this whole podcast, Before You Kill Yourself. Man, pleasure to have you today, bro.
Thank you for having me, bro. I love this, man. Barbershop vibe.
Yes, sir.
Feeling like LeBron James over here, the king,
It's back.
This is dope, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, people, this is when people talk about community and life and learning.
Right.
The barbershop, man, this was everything for me. This is where I heard, I was 9 years old.
Right.
I would go see the fat dude. That's what we called him. Everybody called him that.
Yeah.
Because he'd be eating a burger in one hand, trimming you up with the other hand, crumbs all up in your fade, but you didn't care because it was a dope.
Yeah.
And people would just come in and talk about everything: life, politics, wife, sex. People walking by, the fat man knew everybody.
Right.
And that's where you got your life lessons about how to be a person, how to be a man, how to conduct yourself.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if there's a lot of places like that.
There's not.
Like the barbershop anymore.
Barbershop, I would say the barbershop is definitely one of those places where, like you said, it's kind of like an experience, a life experience, and like people actually to get that comfort or that level of understanding, like life understanding, they'll actually come to the barbershop for that,
Yeah.
Outside of friends, family, and all that, people come to the barbershop for that real life experience. Like you said, some of the best conversation, listen to some of the best music, right?
Yeah.
And we actually experienced that today, like pre-show, right?
We was vibing. I was butchering names of all the artists. He was playing some cats from the 80s. I ain't heard of this. I was like, is that Wu-Tang? He was like,
time out. My guy didn't know that we was listening to Usher Raymond. Usher Raymond.
I was confused. Grew up with that dude too, man.
So let's talk about growing up a little bit. You threw that out there. So originally, you're from Chi-Town.
Yes, sir.
Chicago, Windy City.
Yeah,
North Side.
I rap.
You're out of Los Angeles, which
Yes.
means that you are currently residing in Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
Right? Like let's go back to some of those experiences that you talked about, right? Like talking about Fat Guy, right? And that whole barbershop experience. So like, for the listeners and everybody tuning in right now, let's talk about like your way of life, right? And growing up in Chicago and kind of how that molded you into the man that you are today.
Man, I was lucky,
right?
In some ways because I literally grew up in a very multicultural environment,
right?
Because I grew up between two universities, Loyola University and Northwestern.
Okay.
Those are two top tier universities. So growing up for me, everybody had a backpack. I thought everybody was going to school. I thought everybody read books.
Right.
And I thought that's what I had to do, But then on the flip side, because it's still Chicago, you got people who are on drugs, prostitution,
gangs.
you have gangs, right? So in all that, it's all coexisting.
Right.
So it was a little confusing also of like, wow, it's like, am I supposed to go to school? Supposed to be on the streets? Am I supposed to be selling drugs?
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
And then also to add on top of that, my mom's an immigrant from Belize.
Yeah. So I actually learned that last night.
Oh yeah.
So like, what I'm saying? I've been tapping in. We've worked together in the past, right?
Right.
And I've been keeping up with you, right? But last night, shout out to Stand Up Live. My guy's actually in town in the city. Stand Up Live, downtown Phoenix.
Yeah.
So I was with you last night, and I saw you live. And when you talked about that story about your parents being from Belize, that was something I actually never knew.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about like that. Let's talk about, because Belize in itself is like, it's
beautiful.
Culture capital. Right?
It's so beautiful because it has like the second largest coral reef. So scuba diving is huge in Belize. And people don't really think about Belize and scuba diving, like unless like you're in that culture, then you got to go to Belize to experience that. But on the flip side is it used to be owned by the Brits, so it was British Honduras. So you have a lot of European influences in Belize. You have a lot of Latin influences because it's Central America.
Yep.
And then you had the black influences, due to slavery and all those things. So what's interesting on my mom's side, we didn't have slaves.
Right.
My family did very well from generations ago. On my dad's side, my dad's from Alabama.
Okay.
So, I mean, we are like a generation away from all that. So, right there, it's like my mom is an immigrant. My dad's from Alabama. My mom's side, like no slavery. My dad's side, just, I can't even imagine. And so I did the 23andMe.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm 10% Irish.
Really?
Yeah, man. That's why I got the beard is rocking the way it is.
How does that even happen?
Because a lot of Irish, a lot of Scots, a lot of Europeans came down, and
so this is definitely on your mom's side.
On my mom's side, a lot of colonization taking place, a lot of infiltrations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, but I'm thankful for that.
100%.
Because it makes me think about the world instead of just my community or my block or my family. I'm thinking about, man, I have European blood running through me, so now I want to learn about that.
Right.
I have mostly Nigerian. I have 23andMe. I'm like 50% Nigerian.
I think we all got some sort of.
So we all got some African, but it's cool to know exactly where
50%
you may have. Where you were plucked from, you know what I'm saying? And so that now I'm interested, now I'm fascinated in the Nigerian culture and to see what aspects of their culture have expressed themselves in myself. Like they're, they're stereotypically loud and boisterous and colorful, and I'm like, that's all I am,
That's all me. Yeah.
And so it's cool because it gives you more to think about than just yourself.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's so easy to get consumed in who you are.
100%.
And kind of get lost in that sometimes of like, because earlier you and I were talking about, you're just trying to understand yourself.
Right.
But a part of that is understanding the cultures, not just the culture, but the cultures of which you've come from.
Right.
Does that make, what I'm
100%.
saying? I went to a Catholic school as a kid.
Yeah.
That was 6 years of my life.
You talked about that too.
So I'm a black man with Catholic guilt. You understand? And already, and then that implied guilt on top of being just black when you walk into a store, and now I got this Catholic guilt or I'm like, am I doing the right thing?
Right.
Is this bad? Am I being amoral? So you just layers on top of layers on top of layers to kind of help you understand who you are. But we got to go further back than just a year ago or to our childhood. We got to go generations back.
That's actually an amazing point, man.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us get lost in like the right now and like the what's going on, right? Like as far as like self, right? Like you think about like even the example of like taking it back. I feel like that's rare to take it back. It's like, okay, I'm African American, right? And whatever area you live in, whether it's Chicago, New York, Alabama, wherever, right? And you're just kind of tied up into the culture of like that right now, right? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And never really taking a step back to go for a deeper dive. I mean, I can personally say that I lack some there on that as well, like personally. So like that's key.
Because as you start to ask more questions. Did you grow up with both parents in the house?
Yes, both parents.
So, at this stage in your life, at this age, we have assumptions about who our parents are. I know you. I grew up with you in a house for 20, 30 years.
Right.
But the truth is, you probably only know 20% of what your parents have actually seen, heard, felt, understood, experienced. And so to really dig deeper into those questions of their past and their history, I give you an example. You know, my mom, I grew up in a single parent household, just raised by my mom.
Right.
Dad wasn't around. And it always perplexed me that my mom never wanted to get married or got married. But when I look at the culture of my family
Right.
and where she grew up, all the women in her neighborhood, single parent homes, multiple fathers, lots of kids. That was just the culture.
Right.
And it wasn't a big deal. It's just like my Uber driver yesterday was talking about how he's from somewhere in the Middle East. I forget where it is. And he was like, you can have, he's Lebanese, I believe. And he was like, you could have 4 wives. He's like, as long as you take care of them, you know, it's all good. As long as you're able to provide equally for them, you can have as many wives as you can afford. And that's the norm. And that's here it would be preposterous. It would be outlandish.
Absolutely.
So when we start to unravel the cultural influences, and not just the racial influences or the you know, so many layers there to
let me ask you this: when did you start doing that at a young age? Was that something that you started doing even, like, you know, obviously your mother's from Belize, right? And she has that cultural background, and then living and growing up in a place like Chicago, did you discover that as an early age to start tapping in?
No, to be honest, just recent. I'm 44.
Right.
I say maybe 40.
Wow.
You know, you hit that midlife crisis. You start, you know, like, what does my life mean? What am I doing this for? Why are we all here? Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah, I'm just this little rock on the planet spinning through, you know, and, you know, I get to 40 and I start thinking about me, and I realize, man, I'm so consumed with me.
Right.
And I got these people around me that I've not paid attention to. I have family members who I barely call. I have friends who I barely reach out to.
Right.
I'm so consumed with me. I have a planet I know so little about.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, when I turned 40, I was like, I want to visit every continent, all 7. I want to see what's really going on out there in the world. The news is telling me one thing. The newspapers tell. I come to the barbershop, I'm hearing something else. Right. The church is telling me another thing. You know, the teachers are telling you one thing. Yep. I need to see with my eyes. I need to feel the dirt. I want to smell the air. I want to talk to the people. I want to look people in the eye. I want to know.
Absolutely.
And you can't do that from your home. You know, most people are armchair quarterbacks or whatever.
Armchair quarterbacks.
Yeah. They just at the house, whatever the news is feeding them.
Yep.
And that shapes their perspective.
Easy consumption,
and they haven't been there. I've been to Pakistan. It's a beautiful country.
Right.
Beautiful people. Amazing food. The best ice cream I've ever had in Pakistan, hands down.
Pakistan, shout out to Pakistan.
Karachi, Pakistan.
Yeah, so we actually had that conversation on our way here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're just talking. I mean, I recently just got back from Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like, when you get a physical understanding, it's night and day. Yeah. Right? So, like, obviously, you know, Puerto Rico in itself, I mean, I've seen movies, you know, I've heard the music, like, I know that I could feel the culture, I could feel it, right? Like, so I'm big on culture, like, you know, and especially going to places and then physically getting that feel, right? But on the way here, I was telling you about it, man. It was really amazing to me to be on that island and experiencing, like, the interaction with the people, you know, seeing certain places, like, for example, like El Yunque is the rainforest that I was telling you about, right? And just physically getting that feel, it was different, and it gave me kind of like a true understanding of that culture, and it just made me appreciate the experience and everything about what they got going on over there so much more. Right? So
me and my girl, we were in Peru in March, right? And we're driving along the countryside. We're way up in the mountains, like. And so I'm in the van with like 12 other people, other tourists, and I put my headphones on because we had a long trip. and I put on the new Jay-Z album just dropped, right? I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
and I put it on. And you know, he's talking about money, cars, you know, the material things.
Yeah.
But what I'm experiencing at that moment, what I'm seeing are people who are growing the food that they eat.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only food that they have access to. The clothes that they're wearing are the clothes that they've made with their hands, right? And communities of people who are helping each other. There's no financial transaction. It's blood, sweat, tears transaction, right? You help me, I help you. They call it Anyi, right? Reciprocal appreciation or
exchange.
All that. So I had to cut the music off,
Right.
because if I was in LA
Yeah.
and I'm listening to Jay-Z, I go, yeah, you know, I'm gonna take this over.
Yeah.
When you're in the mountains and you see people communing, and it's not about the money, it's about your productivity, it's about your what you put in.
Right.
Literally what you're putting into the ground is what you get out. Now this doesn't.
It puts you in a different mindset.
It puts me in a different mindset.
100%.
I can't listen. This is
Gotta go.
It's too discordant for me.
Right.
And so it was an interesting moment for myself of like, wow, the things that I want to absorb, how that's based on my environment.
Right.
There's no way I'm watching Ozarks if I live in an igloo in the North Pole. Like it's just ridiculous.
It ain't gonna make
it's not
sense.
gonna make sense.
Man, that was a gem. That's a gem right there. That like expanding the mind, you know, it just like really understanding everything from a cultural stance. Like it takes effort and like the doing part.
The doing part, man.
Yeah.
You know, even in relationships, this is something I'm just learning at 44. Is a lot of times we had this, at least I did. Okay, I can't talk for anybody else.
Right.
But I had this notion that me and her should just click. Like if it doesn't click, if there's not a strong attraction, if we're just, then it's not gonna work.
Right.
And I think we've been fed that message so much that we've minimized the amount of effort it takes, because you can click in the beginning. I've clicked with a lot of women, but that click can fade very quickly.
Real quick.
I just got to fade today.
Just as fast as it started.
But start tomorrow. This is about to start becoming undone. See, I gotta keep the effort up, right? I gotta keep coming back to the barbershop to maintain it, to trim it up.
Right.
I gotta put the oils. I can't just grow the beard. It's gonna get tangled up. I gotta take it. So same thing with your relationship is like daily attention, daily grooming, daily effort, daily showing up. Daily checking in. Me and my girl, at the end of every day, we ask ourselves 4 questions.
Okay.
What made you laugh today?
Yep.
What are you looking forward to?
Okay.
What was your biggest challenge?
Okay.
And what makes you happy?
Okay.
Right?
Now, why those 4?
So what are you looking forward to is a great question, because a lot of times when we're upset or we get into these ruminative ideas or thoughts, we forget about the future, right? You get so entrenched in what's going on right now. You're upset about something right now. There's something on your mind right now. You're angry, and then you easily forget about this thing that you're looking forward to, whether it's a movie or a vacation or time with the family, whatever that is. You forget in that moment. You know, when you snap, you get angry. You forget all these things that you could be grateful for. So it's a reminder of there's always something that we have to look forward to, right?
Very true.
For people who are depressed, they have a hard time remembering what they have to look forward to. What made you laugh today? You know, it's one of those things where, once again, you can get in such a funk where you just work, and you realize, man, I haven't even played yet. You know, I haven't made room for fun. You know, whether that means watching a quick YouTube video or some stand-up comedy, or just, you know, calling somebody just to talk trash. You know, we're in such a outcome process or outcome goal-oriented society where we don't treasure the sitting back and relaxing. Like, you know, you go to Europe, Spain, they got the siesta, man. The siesta, the little midday break. It's like you work in the morning, you go home with the familia, see your wife in the middle of the day. You get to hang out, kick it, you know, and then you come back to work. And you're not even driving home. You're riding your bike home, so you're waving, you're meeting people. Midday little siesta. But I'm on my hustle, I'm on my grind, 24/7.
No days off.
No days off.
No sleep.
Did you laugh? Are you enjoying?
Man, bro, it's so It's so crazy that you bring that up, man, because I literally practice just like being able to do those sort of things, because like the joy and the feeling that you get from that, it's like it's healthy. You know what I mean? Like you're like, yo, like getting out of that zone, right? I mean, because being creators and, you know, constantly working, like, you know, like that has to be done. That's going to be done every single day. Every day. But are you going to laugh every single day? Yeah. Are you going to figure out a way to bring joy into your life every single day? Like, are you going to, you know, put a smile on somebody's face? Like, you know, like, and that happens off of just simple conversation, right? Or like you said, pulling up a YouTube video, looking up your favorite actor, comedian, whatever, like listening to your favorite music. Like, I'm a big consumer of music, and that's one of my ways that I bring joy to myself, right? You know, I got playlists that like I can, you know, jump on and get into my vibe or get in whatever mood I'm in. And I do those things constantly every day. And now I'm kind of at a point now where it's like, it's self-conscious, right? Like I don't put a lot of thought into that process, but it's about doing it first, right? Like you actually have to do it, you know. Obviously you want it to be something that's organic, right? But man, the feeling's unmatched, bro. It's unmatched. I mean, I don't even know, like I don't know what to say on that point besides that it's a gym and it's something that like people should definitely practice and exercise. Yeah,
you know, it's something that when we talk so much about success. And it's, you know, Michelle Obama said it's about practicing success. 100%. Right? It's about practicing wins, right? And so a win is social engagement, man. It's like when you talk to your family members, it's something that brings you to the present. Right. So now you're not in the past so much, you're not too far in the future, because we talked about being humble off camera a little bit. Yeah, we did. And in those conversations with your friends, people who really know you, man, your friends had no problem reminding you of what you've done, and who you were, and how far you've come. Family too, absolutely. Big bro is like, you know, he's like, you gotta stick your chest out. Yes, sir. You gotta let them know you're here. Like, yes, sir. I'm just like, man, like, you know, I'm living in the moment, enjoying this, and just, you know, just really just trying to stay humble. Like I mentioned before, 10 toes down, very humbled in the process. But at the same time, it's like I'm personally learning right now how to enjoy those wins, right? And enjoy those successful points, right? I've been in those points, you know, throughout life, you know, in general, but now I'm in a space where, like, you know, it's happening a lot more rapidly, right? So, you know, coming from somebody like you, how do you go about enjoying your successes, right? Because we actually was on the way here, and I was like, how you feeling, man? Like, I get excited. And would you say, you said, if I get excited, would you say if I get too excited for everything that I did? Yeah. What was your statement? I said, so, you know, you asked me, like, you asked me if I was excited about doing this. Yeah. And my response was, if I got excited for everything that I did, I'd be exhausted. Would that be the same concept for the wins? No, so the wins to me happen after when you set a goal and you get there. We can celebrate that. Okay. Right. So if celebrating a thing and being excited for a thing are two different things, because if you're setting goals, you're not, those celebrations wouldn't be every day, right? That it would be like every month or every week or however, maybe it's every 4 years, like you talking about the Olympics, things like that. But like excited, like you could be excited every day. Like, oh, my show's I'll get to watch my show today. I get to see my girl today, whatever. But the reason why I always quell my excitement for things is because at the end of the day, it's really about being present.
Present, yep.
Right? Like, I would love to be excited, but actually, when you're too excited, you could lose yourself and lose the moment.
100%.
See, does that make sense?
Yes.
It's like, some people, they get so excited, they go off the rails. Like a team, sports is a perfect example. We've all seen a team up. So I give you an example personally. In college, I played at Ball State.
Okay.
Going into at the halftime, we were down 28-0. Going into the half the stadium left. The other team, you could see they kicking back.
Celebration.
Yeah, they already popping bottles. They got their legs crossed. They sending in the third team.
Taking the cleats off.
Yeah, all that. So they already got they buttoning up the shirts. We came back, beat them 32-28.
They didn't score again.
They got excited. But we calmed down.
Right.
We did the opposite. We got more focused. Right? And I always remember that lesson.
Right.
I have a friend who hiked Mount Everest. And he said at the beginning of the hike, there were 3 groups. And there was one group that was super excited about hiking Mount. Like their energy, they was like, "We about to hike Mount Everest. We ready to do this?" And the other group, they were arguing a lot. They just couldn't agree on different whatever. And then his group, tranquilo, very calm.
Right.
The leader of his group was like, "We're gonna make it to the top. Neither one of those teams are gonna make it." And he said, "Why?" He goes, "Because this team that is excited about hiking, they're wasting too much energy on the excitement. They're gonna need that to get up there, and they're gonna lose it. This team that's arguing, they're gonna sabotage each other in trying to get to the top," which, by the way, is what people do. They actually steal your gas tank while you're sleeping because people sometimes don't take enough air or the wrong equipment, so they'll steal your equipment while you're asleep up there. Like, it's dog eat dog.
Wow.
And
I had no idea.
And true to life, his team was the only one of those 3 teams that made it to the top.
Interesting.
So even the locals have a saying called pulley pulley, and it just means one step at a time. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Just get this step.
Right.
And then just take another step. So when I look at interviews, opportunities, games, it's just a step.
Right.
Our coach, when I played at Ball State, he was always talking about, one day at a time. But in my head, when you're in the game, you have to think one play at a time.
Right.
I don't need to win the game. I just play. If I do everything I'm supposed to do on this play, then everything else should take care of itself. Right. If everybody else is.
So we're talking like overall process, right? Like,
overall process.
So going in with the process, whether you got a goal in mind or whether it's winning the game, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't look at it too far ahead.
No.
Simplify it within a step instead of a day.
Yeah.
So when people say take it day by day, it should really be take it step by step.
Because, and I'm sure you've experienced this, where you had an awesome morning, productive.
Yeah.
You wake up and you're firing on all cylinders.
Awesome.
You're getting things done.
Yeah.
You're checking off the boxes. Something happens in the second half of that day, downhill, right? Where all of a sudden you're in bed or you're drinking, you're overeating, you're just undoing
exhausted,
all the work from the morning.
Right.
Too much energy, too excitement, and it wasn't sustainable for an entire day. Or sometimes we have the opposite happen, right? Where you start off slow and then you build up, right? Just like the stand-up you came to the show, it was a slow build, and then we picked up. So I want consistency. I'm like, how do I move from A to B like this? I don't need to go 100 miles an hour. Right now I'm studying Spanish, guitar lessons, sign language.
Okay.
I have no desire to learn any of it. My only desire is to practice it daily. See that difference?
Yeah.
I just want to show up for the work daily.
So you're not like, I want to learn Spanish. I want to be fluent. I want to know. I want to understand sign language. I want to be.
No.
It's like you're breaking it down for the process and it being something that you're practicing.
Absolutely. If I say to myself, this is my life, like brushing my teeth every day, taking a shower every day, I will naturally achieve some level of mastery. Even with football, when I played football, it was all about practicing every day. Show up for the work every day. You know, we were talking about how I played against Randy Moss. And you know, and yes, was there a genetic component to a success? Yes. But even when I played college, when I played high school football, there were guys on the team who said that I was only successful because of my size, right? Let's talk about that. Right. So I was a big boy.
D tackle.
D tackle, defensive tackle, 275.
This man sitting in the chair, D tackle.
Yes, sir.
275.
And all state, right? I would have been All-American, but I didn't know there was a grade requirement for All-American. You have to actually have a certain GPA. I didn't have the best grades for All-American.
Okay.
But
I didn't know that either.
But there were guys on my team who said, you know, yo, man, of course you're doing well. Look at how big you are and your genetic. I said, but listen, I get to the gym before school starts. I'm coming in on Saturdays. You know what? When I'm in the gym, I'm the only one in the gym. I'm showing up before practice and I'm staying after practice. That's why I'm going to college on a scholarship. Right? So even Randy Moss, as genetically gifted as he was, had to be in the gym. We were talking about Kobe Bryant. In the gym, after practice. Countless. At the stadium shooting 1,000 free throws.
Bro, he was in the gym even with injury.
Yes.
I think I actually read a story on Kobe. I think it was one year he like fractured his wrist or broke his wrist.
Yeah.
He was shooting one-handed free throws. By himself.
Right.
That's a different. That's a different mindset. That's a different process.
You gotta fall in love with the work. Daily. Show up. Figure out what it is that you would have to do. So even in a relationship, right? When I talk to my girl about her passions, her loves, her goals, her visions, all those things, I write it down. I'm not just here for the conversation. I write it down. So then I can, on a daily basis, look at it and maybe figure out how I can add to that, how I can, serve that or provide that for her in some creative or fun or romantic type of way. And I'm not talking about material things. I'm just she likes Anne Bancroft, the first woman to cross North America, not North America, the North Pole, right? So in my phone, I have an Anne Bancroft notification. So when if she puts out an article or something, so then when it pops up, I send it to her, right? I don't have to do that, but it's a way of putting in effort, right? it's not asking a lot from me.
Right.
It's like, I see that this is somebody that you value.
Right.
I want to let you know that I value you, so I value her, and I'm gonna read the article, and then we can talk about it. And then that's the way we can share it. So there's all these different ways that we can connect with the people that we're with that don't require millions of dollars in your bank account or extreme effort. It's these little things.
Let's talk about that real quick, because so obviously I was at the show last night, right? And one of the bits that you got into was a relationship topic. And since we're on that topic, I feel like I want to fire off. It was feel it was fix versus feel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when you were getting into the bit, I was like, I kind of already was like exercising kind of where you was going with it. But the way that you broke it down and simplified the process of that is similar to what we just got through talking about, right? So I want you to explain, to everybody listening in, right, what this bit exactly was.
So
what it means.
When we talk about feel and fix, right?
Right.
A lot of the arguments that we hear about race, about guns, about immigration, it's so volatile because everybody's coming in with the fix. Like, this is what we should do. We should ban guns. We should build a wall. Right. I forgot the other one I said, but like everybody's trying to come up with these answers. Right. And where we have to start is feeling the other person's point of view. Right.
And you also mentioned like us being men, us being very masculine and always
we're fixers.
Yeah, so it was you. This was the example of the relationship of the man.
Yeah.
Always trying to fix, and you use the example about the car.
Right. Yes, because I don't know anything about cars.
Right. So you use that
example. Your car breaks down. You're trying to fix the car.
Right.
You don't know anything about the car, but when you with your girl, you gotta look like you're doing something. Right. She don't want a man that's just sitting around doing nothing. Right. Like you didn't, like the last thing you want your girl to say, you ain't doing anything, or you just gonna stand there and so you never want that look from your girl. Right. So you take action even if it's the wrong action.
Right. He said, I'm gonna pop the trunk and just it's the carburetor.
Yeah. And when we're talking about even the bigger issues, we're always starting from this place of fix. We're talking about anything with like guns or immigration. It comes down to safety. People want to feel safe. Right. That's the feel. No matter where you are on guns, no matter where you are on immigration, no matter where you are on any of the on race, we can all agree that you want to feel safe.
100%.
Right? So now we have an agreement. Let's start there. You want to feel safe, I want to feel safe. Now, we might disagree on how to feel safe. Right. But at least we can acknowledge that we have some common ground. So even in your relationship, find the common ground. One day I came home a little late and my girl was like, where were you?
Right.
Yo, I was immediately angered.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you don't trust me?
Right,
What'd you think I was doing?
Right.
And after all like my head's just spinning. I was like, how dare you?
Acting on impulse.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had to take a breath and step back and be like, oh, she misses me. She was like, where were you? Because I missed you.
Right.
But she didn't start with the feel. Yeah. She started with not necessarily the fix, because she was trying to fix, like, where were you? That was kind of a fixed question, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. instead of the feel question of, which exposes her a little bit, I missed you.
Right.
And a lot of us start with,
we act on impulse.
We act with reaction.
Right, yeah.
We act with the surface level emotion, which is usually anger. Yeah. But at the root of anger is always going to be fear or sadness, but those are vulnerable traits. So we don't expose those. We go, yo, what you say? Right. Versus, yo, man, my bad. I'm cool. Which doesn't make you soft. It's just like, if it were being real, it wasn't my intention to upset you. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we immediately respond back with what you think, now it becomes it's human nature. Yeah. So in relationships, it's like, what's the emotion? Right. Versus, your girl will be like, sometimes I'm sure you get this, like, what are you thinking about right now? That question denotes that she's feeling a certain way. She doesn't know how to express it. Usually when they ask that question, they're feeling like you're distant. Right. But she doesn't say, I feel like a little space between us. She starts with, what are you thinking? Right. And then you as a guy be like, I don't know, I really wasn't paying attention to what I was thinking some stuff, but, and then you spew out whatever. Then usually we say nothing. Nothing.
So let me ask you this. So taking a step, where this is at right now is really taking a step back and understanding whether it's the question, the comment, whatever. Yeah. Taking a step back and looking at it from both sides, both perspectives before making that jump, right?
Figure out what the emotion is. Lead with that.
How long do you have to how long does it take to figure that out?
Figure what out?
The approach on whether, especially in a relationship when you're in that moment, right? And there's a question being asked, and then like you mentioned, where were you? Your guard goes up, right? Your guard goes up. Yeah. So so going in, there's no real time, right? Like, it's just like you should go in anticipating that you have to look at both sides first.
Right. Absolutely.
Is that correct?
So I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. So let's go back to that example. Where were you, right?
Yeah.
So at that moment, it bothered me. And my response was, I told her wherever I was. I was like, I went for a walk or for a drive or whatever. Right? So I was upset by the question, but I responded in a amicable way because I knew that my anger, my emotions are my responsibility. Did she trigger it? Did the news trigger it? Whatever. It doesn't matter who triggered. It's still my responsibility, right? You get upset doesn't mean that you can just kill someone or run them over or whatever, right? So I go, okay, I'm upset right now by this question. Yeah. And I had enough space to realize I didn't quite know why it upset me. At the time, I didn't know why it upset me. I was like, why does this bother me like this? And it took me actually 3 days. It took me 3 days. I went on a hike and during, because I hike a lot, and during the hike I go, that's why it bothered me, because she felt a certain way. Right. And instead of being vulnerable and sharing that, of saying, you know what, I really missed you, she came at me with, where were you? Once I realized that, man, my shoulders dropped, my breath was deepened. And then I went back to her and I said, you know what, a couple of days ago when you asked me that, it really bothered me and upset me. But I knew it was my responsibility to figure out my anger and why that was. And it was because I wish you had said, I missed you versus where were you? Yeah. And then she was like, I missed you. And so now she leads with that. Right. And now we have a much more rich conversation because she is learning how to get to the root of her emotions quicker. Because I'm still learning. It's not easy. This is not something that you're going to master every time. There are times where I definitely become undone, or as Abraham Lincoln says, unmanned. But it's the awareness of, okay, how do I get back? Right. I got a little too close to the sun. Right. How do I get as you said, 10 toes?
10 toes
How
down.
10 toes down. I feel like that's a production company. 10 toes down or something.
Solid.
I like that. Yeah.
Solid. Hey, bro, that was. I think we needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that.
Yeah.
And that's with all relationships.
Yes, sir.
That's all with all any sort of human interaction. That's key.
Yeah.
To kind of take a step back, and get outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Even so. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, man.
Yeah, and it's a great question because let's get into the physiology a little bit,
right.
which sometimes I do this on stage too. I talk about a little bit on stage. Mm-hmm. So when we're angry or too emotional, it doesn't have to be angry. It could even be excitement. There are studies that show that most car accidents are the result of emotional driving. Not drunk driving, not sleeping driving, but like you in your car, you get a text, you got a promotion, woo, and then you go right through me and my girl to sidetrack for a second. It was Super Bowl Sunday. Mm-hmm. Me and my girl are driving from a party, and we're listening to Pharrell's Happy. And it was just when it dropped. So this is a song everybody's singing, right? Like that song, come on, man, you come on.
Pharrell.
So, and I had a drink. My girl had 10 drinks this is my girl at the time, and but I'm driving, and I go straight through a stop sign because we're so into this song.
Right.
Cop sitting right there.
Boom.
Man, and I'm in like this wealthy white area of Hermosa,
Yeah.
And I've had trouble in Hermosa with cops before, just off some race. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going straight to jail. I had a drink. I went through a stop sign. It's a wrap for Leo Flowers. Pulls me over, and he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm immediately honest. I ran through a stop sign.
Yep.
Why'd you run through a stop sign? I'm honest again. I go, we were singing Pharrell's Happy, and it was still playing, right? And I turned it up a little bit, and I see his head just like, and he was like, oh yeah.
I like that song.
And then he was like, and then he had to catch himself like, oh shit, I'm a cop. And excuse me, oh damn, I'm a cop.
Let me get back in
let me get back into character. And he goes, have you had any drinks? Because it's Super Bowl Sunday, And now I'm not honest. I go, I'm the designated driver.
Right.
Then I go, but this one over here,
it's turned.
right? And luckily she had so many drinks because she looked so drunk. It made me look so sober that my boy looked at my girl and he was like, wow, you got to get her home.
Get her out of here.
Yeah. He was like, all right, man, you good. Don't even worry about it. You let me go.
That's funny.
So I forget why I brought that story, but we were talking about emotional driving and like it doesn't just have to be anger,
right.
But anything can undo you in the moment, right? So what the research has found is that it takes about 24 hours for us to actually calm down when we're angry and upset. That's why it took me 3 days to get clarity, right? So this idea of like, when you're in a relationship, you get in an argument, and maybe in the middle of the day, you're going back and forth with the text, and then at bed, your girl wants to talk about it. It's too soon. You haven't calmed down yet, right? The wound is still fresh, right? And so that's why the arguments never end, because we're never giving each other enough space to actually calm down. On a physiological aspect, what's happening is most of our brain is amygdala, right? Fight, flight, freeze. That's our limbic system. That's reptilian. So when we're emotional, that's fight, flight, freeze. We want to. The prefrontal cortex, the front part of our brain, that's where we think. That's our logic and our reasoning. So when we're upset, it takes about 24 hours for the amygdala to calm down so that we can get back into our prefrontal cortex, which, by the way, is a new part of our brain.
Whoa.
The amygdala has been around since the beginning of man, pretty much. The prefrontal cortex is a new development in humanity. So it's not as fully developed as that. That's why we are mostly reactionary. And we have to catch ourselves, right?
Wow.
The prefrontal cortex is this small. The amygdala is that big.
Didn't know.
So you are, it's David and Goliath, 24/7 in your brain.
Wow.
So there's a physiological aspect to it. Is when a man says, when you're in an argument and the man says, I need to go for a walk, I need to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Because I gotta let this amygdala calm down.
Wow.
That's just my biology. I can't fight that, right? Before this kicks back in, right? So when we understand the physiology of how our bodies work and how our brains work, it allows us to have more compassion for each other. Of like, okay, I understand now why we can't talk before bed. Because now I'm not just looking at you, I'm thinking about how your brain works and how it operates and how it needs to shut down. It's like when your laptop, you keep your laptop on too long, you start hearing that fan that zzz,
Right.
it's overheating. It needs some time to calm down, right? So there's a physiological aspect to some of our behaviors. All of this willpower, and if you really want it, it's like, all right, is there some basis in that? Yeah. But there's a reason why most stay-at-home moms are wearing yoga pants, right? We're sheep, we're followers. Monkey see, monkey do,
Right.
because we want to be part of the tribe. So this whole like I do whatever I want when I want to do it. It sounds good, but the truth is that you're drinking the same Kool-Aid everybody else.
Facts.
Right?
Facts. Dang. Man, that everything made like, so the whole process in the brain. I mean, that's so going back to what we talked about initially, right? And we were talking about you know, the cultural aspect and understanding, you know, where you come from and digging deep into that, even with like the body, like you mentioned, like even digging deeper in that and understanding, like, you know, ways of communication, ways of life. It stems from the body, and understanding that piece. That's something else that I'm gonna start digging into to get a better understanding psychologically.
Here's why the science of our bodies is so important, right? So when you look at divorce rates,
Right.
most marriages don't last past 2 years. Just like most companies don't last past 2 years. There's a correlation. There are patterns, right? If you learn how to study patterns of how things work, you'll understand the micro and macro patterns. I bring that up to say that there's also a huge divorce rate when people get into their 40s. That's the next wave, right? People in their 40s all of a sudden, and people go, you know, men are having midlife crises. They're buying cars, sleeping with younger women. Women are having hot flashes, and that's about the extent of what we're. But there's another thing happening at a hormonal level to people in their 40s, in that men's testosterone starts to drop when women's testosterone actually increases. The estrogen goes down, testosterone goes up. So the man over time is becoming more like a woman, and a woman over time is becoming more like a man, which is why you have the stereotype of the MILF, right? But these older women in their 40s and 50s who are now all of a sudden becoming sexually active. Testosterone is boosting that. And then you got the guy who now all of a sudden needs Viagra and, you know, is not feeling himself, right? Because the estrogen is kicking in. And so it creates a different dynamic in the relationship, because this guy who was the alpha in his 20s and 30s is now wanting to sit on the couch and eat ice cream and you know, wear sweats, and now the woman has this second wind and she's running around taking Soul Cycle and Pilates, and you're like, what happened?
It's really going.
It's really happening. Yeah.
And women are actually expressing that too.
Absolutely, and they have no idea of what's happening on a hormonal level. We think we're so in control of our behaviors and what's happening,
Right.
and then women go, well, I've lost attraction to him. It's that a relationship requires two things: novelty and intimacy. And so when we talk about, you have to have the things that you both do together and then the things you both do apart. Because when you're apart, that builds attraction. Ooh, what is he doing? I don't know. Where is he? Who is he with?
Word.
But when you're together, that's when you build the friendship.
Right.
So you need the friendship, and you also need the romance and the desire.
100%.
So if you don't have things that you personally are excited about, right? To go back to your word and things that you're passionate about and that you care about and that keep you engaged, right? And she doesn't have that for herself either. The relationships are gonna wither, because then what are you talking about?
Right.
What are you saying at dinner?
Right.
Or at lunch? Why even spend time together? You have nothing that you're gonna talk. Yeah, okay, you watch football all day. You're gonna talk to your wife about third and fourth, Bills versus Bryant. Like, is that the conversation you want to have?
Nah.
So, and not to say there's nothing wrong, that there's something wrong with watching football. I love football, but I have friends who watch it all day. I'm like, you can't give your entire day to this thing, or and think you could just leave your wife on a back burner. Like, you got to come back to the house.
Facts. Man, hey. Life coach Leo Flowers.
Yes,
that
sir.
That was life coaching.
Thank you,
there.
man. Thank you.
Really. But hey, we gonna break into this last little segment, man. Wrap this up. I hope y'all took something from that at one point or another, man. That's what we need. That's what we're captivating. Providing any sort of message, any sort of gem that you can take out of that, man. Coming from Leo, being a life coach, he is very, very intuitive on that, and I appreciate you sharing that with us, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, man. And so this last segment, I actually wanted to save this one for the end. You asked me earlier. I mean, obviously it's a new year. Happy New Year to everybody tapping in.
Right.
We got through 2020.
Mm-hmm.
We got through. And we're here now, right? We spoke earlier, and you asked me about New Year's resolution. But the way that you formatted it, you wanted to know what were the 3 things to describe your resolution, right?
Right.
So that's how I want to cap this off. I want to ask you personally, what 3 things would describe Leo Flowers and his resolution coming into the new year?
Movement.
Okay.
Engagement.
Okay.
Sleep.
All right.
Movement. I have to be moving. I wake up. My motto is, when I wake up, I get up. I don't linger in bed. I'm not cozying up. Wake up, I get up.
Right.
I've been paralyzed twice in my life from football. When you've been paralyzed and you realize that it's a gift to be able to wake up and move, then you don't squander that anymore. You don't take it for granted. Because I feel like the universe works in 3s, so I got a 3rd one coming. I don't know when that's going to be.
Let's pray that doesn't happen.
I pray it doesn't happen. So when I wake up, I get up.
Right.
Movement. I was going to go hiking this morning. I went for a walk.
Yeah.
But I'm moving.
You're always moving.
I'm moving.
Always.
Engagement.
Right.
I have to be engaged. When I get bored, that's when I do things that are destructive, self-sabotaging. That's why I'm studying Spanish. That's why I'm studying, taking guitar lessons and sign language and life coaching and podcasting and doing stand-up. To me, I don't need to be doing, I can't do one thing. I don't know how to do one thing. I need to be doing multiple things because I bore easily. So I need to be engaged,
Man, that's
right?
Crazy. I'm the same way.
So eye contact. I like to do things in person. I like to look a person in the eye. I like to be engaged. If I'm not engaged, I gotta go. I'll say it. I'm bored. This is a wrap. We're done. I have no problem leaving a thing.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. And then sleep. Everybody talks about the hustle, but man, LeBron James spends like $1.5 million a year on recovery.
Right.
Sleep is a massive part, of recovery. I just spent $2,300, and it's not to brag, but this is how important I take it. $2,300 on a mouth device that alleviates my snoring so that I can sleep better because I have sleep apnea also, right? A deviated septum, constantly inflamed. So I got to sleep with a mouth device that pushes my jaw forward like this so that my tongue has space so that I don't snore at night.
Wow.
That's how seriously I take sleep. I take naps.
Okay.
So I'm all about engage and then restore. Engage, restore. Engage, restore. So we can't just be moving. We can't just be hustling. You got to know. You got to get acupuncture, get a massage, take a Epsom salt bath. Right. You know, vacation. You know, we just got back from Maui.
Let's go.
So we gotta celebrate ourselves, but we also have to know how to take care of a lot of people don't actually know how to recharge.
Right.
They go, oh, it's the weekend. Yeah. I'm gonna stay up late. Yeah. And I'm gonna drink and I'm gonna party. No shots fired to you because I know you was out till 4 o'clock last night.
It was a different situation.
When I was young, you know, it was New Year's Eve, right? So,
Yeah.
but I'm saying on a regular, people will look at the weekend as an opportunity to go completely off the rails, and then Monday and wonder why they dread Monday. Yeah. The weekend is a time to engage in those things that enrich you,
100%.
enrich your life, so that when you come back to work on Monday, you're adding more value. Whether that means taking classes, taking trips, visiting someplace. I have a friend who, for the year, went to a different church, you know, every Sunday. You know, and I know depending on where you live, you can't do that. Yeah. But that's the point is to use the weekend as a way to expand your awareness, build on your culture, to deepen your craft, whatever that is, as opposed to letting it all become undone and then trying to piece it back together on Monday. I love it. So move, engage,
movement,
and sleep.
Engagement,
sleep, man.
Sleep.
Yeah.
All three of them.
All three, man. Yeah.
Man, inspiring, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Inspiring, man. This conversation, you know, is definitely one of those conversations that, like, I'm gonna leave here today, you know, with a form of life education, and something that I can take with me, and that's gonna stick, right? And I hope the same for everybody tuning in, man, because you know, you're definitely the one to make that happen. So, I mean, that's really it that I got. That's all we got for today, man. And
that's enough. That's enough. I think the people got enough to chew on.
It's plenty, man.
Yeah, don't be going back for seconds.
No, it's plenty, man. So we got Leo, man. Leo runs a podcast, Before You Kill Yourself.
Yes, sir.
You can check him out there. Man, it's a very special platform where, you know, he engages with all sorts of individuals, from doctors to your everyday person. It's something that I would definitely check out. But as far as what's next for you, outside of what you're currently doing, what can the people expect, and where can they find you?
So the next step is the book, Before You Kill Yourself, right? So the guests that I have on, the last question that I do ask them is to imagine that there's someone listening who may be on the verge of ending their life, and what would you say to them? So we're going to put all those answers into a book,
that's
right?
What you're doing with
Yeah.
That. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to put that into a book. And then, and you know, because what's cool is going back to engagement, is that the podcast has allowed me to engage with people who otherwise wouldn't be able to talk to. Like you said, doctors, lawyers, athletes. I just had a free diver, the women's world champion free diver. Wow. So I'm not just talking to people who are just struggling with mental illness, and that's their only story. Like these are high achievers. These are CEOs. Yep. These are athletes and actors, and even some friends of mine who've come on a podcast to share their story, and you know, people who are dominating the world on a global level.
love it.
In whatever field they're in. And so it's exciting to talk to these people and the different book authors and people who I read about, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting across from you. So that's the next step, man, is getting that book out, and then hopefully this quarantine lifts and I can do more live comedy tours, man. So
man,
I'm excited.
Let's get to it, man. Get to it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I wish nothing but the best for you.
Thank you, bro.
Shouts out to AZ100, AZ Soul for allowing us to share this platform today.
Yeah. Oh, I also got my girlfriend to kill me if I don't plug it. But because we talked about me coaching, if you want one-on-one coaching, go to thrivewithleo.com. Thrivewithleo.com for one-on-one coaching, and we can, I work with conflict resolution. Learning how to listen especially in relationships. When your girl is always saying, you don't understand, I'll teach you how to understand her, but also how to manage your emotions. I have most of my clients are perfectionists, they're high achievers, they're killing it in work, 100%. But they've struggled in setting boundaries or in their personal life, and so we help fit those pieces back together.
Make sure y'all check it out. Tap in.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you? Social media
you can go to on Instagram, Leo Flowers 2000.
2000.
Yeah. Okay. Leo Flowers 2000. A little late. Somebody got Leo Flowers already. Is another one floating out there. I know, man. Man, it's killing me.
It's killing me.
So it was a period in my life where I was living out my car.
Right.
And somebody called me to buy I had leoflowers.com, the domain, to buy my domain name for 10 grand. And when you're living out your car, 10 grand is a lot of money. And I remember thinking to myself, my name is worth more than that. And even though I'm living out my car and I need that 10 grand, I got to decline. So I have the website to this day, leoflowers.com. And we definitely are worth more than 10 grand.
Let's go.
Right now.
Let's go. Leoflowers.com. Tap in. Yo, it's your boy Hollywood. You can find me on social platforms. You can find me on Instagram, Hollywood, the letter X, Hagan, Hagan. You can find me on the same name on YouTube. Those are my 2 social platforms. Man, it was a pleasure, brother.
Yes, sir.
It's
Thank
a wrap.
you. Thank you.
It's a wrap. Hey,
that was dope.
We out.
Yes, sir.
And we out. My God. Yes, sir.